I apologize for being a little bit late. Our work session went a little longer than we expected, so we'll go ahead and get started. Without any further ado, I would like to welcome everybody out to our City Council policy session. We're grateful that you're here with us today. We're especially grateful for the young people that are here with us, and we're going to recognize you for the great things that you do in your schools, and we're so proud of you. And so we're going to get to that in just a little bit here. Because we have so many people here that probably don't get here a lot, so I'll just kind of go through and quickly introduce everybody so that you know who's up here in the City Council. We have over here to my left Lindsay Nesson, who is our Assistant City Manager. Our City Manager has been excused from this evening, so he won't be with us. Bo Lewis is our council, starting with the council over here. Bo Lewis, Blair Westergaard, Lyle Vance, myself, Brett Rohde, Wes Eastep, and over here with our recorder is Cynthia Nelson, pardon me. And we are just grateful all of you are here with us. We've got, we got our new to almost fire chief, Jeff Jarrows with us here. We're grateful that you're with us here this evening. I think maybe our police chief has stepped out, but anyway, we're grateful that we're here. We're going to have an opening prayer by our council member Bo Lewis, and then if we can have council member Lyle Vance lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear and beloved Heavenly Father, we bow before Thee at the start of this meeting. We're grateful for the many blessings that we have. We're grateful for this community, for our friendships, for the opportunities that we have to serve one another, and we're grateful for the blessings that we enjoy. And we ask that would please bless us tonight, that we'll have fruitful discussion and be able to become more united. And we ask for these things in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Council, item number 3 on the agenda is the declaration of any conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts with the agenda tonight, Council?
No.
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Motion by Councilmember Vance.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Eastep. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for April 29th, 2025.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for April 29th.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Westergaard and second by Bo Lewis. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. All right, here we go. This is our favorite part of the meeting tonight here. Almost favorite. Well, it is a favorite. I'm going to say favorite. Our citizenship awards. This is something we've been doing for a couple of 2 or 3 years now, and we're recognizing young people for their citizenship in our schools and citizenship in our community. We're recognizing them because they show respect for their students, for their teachers, and for those around them. They take responsibility for themselves and for their friends and so forth, and they're safe. They go about promoting safety in their schools, and these things are all really, really important. So with that, we'll go ahead and give out these awards. We're going to ask you to come up, and I'll give you hand out the certificates, and then we're going to ask you the students to stay up here so we can get some pictures.
Principals?
Oh, and the principal, I'm sorry. Yeah, and our principals as well. Okay, from North Park Elementary, we have Will Wheatbrook. Congratulations. You can have him come right around here by your principal. Jesse Stark. Congratulations, Jesse. Very good. Brogan Hamblin. Trayson Milner. Oh, come over here. We're not letting you off that easy. You gotta come around here and get your.
Stand up there, I get your treat, your cookie treat, cookie card.
AJ Hernandez. Araya James. Whoop. Oh, there you go. She's just a step ahead of me. Nova Gonzalez. There you go. Oakland Blaisdell. Great job.
She's a smiler. That one.
Okay, did we
Big
get
smile.
everybody? All right, very good. We'll get some pictures and then you guys can have a seat.
There'll be plenty of time to take pictures, so we just gotta get a good one for us. Be on the website in the next day or two.
Okay. Okay, let's stop that too.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, we gotta get the cops back in.
Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Big smiles. Yay. Good job.
Anybody else?
Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Good job, kids. Woohoo!
All right, we have a special, oh, let's see, we'd love you to stay, you're welcome to stay, but if you want to leave, that's good too, so.
I'd leave. Whether I just got a citizenship.
Had the
award or
choice,
not.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Do yeah.
I'll give you a ride home.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Very good. Next, we have a presentation, a fire department presentation, and I'm going to turn the time over to,
Annie. Breeze.
okay, it looks like we got everybody seated. Jeff, are you going to do this, or who's?
Andy.
Andy's going to, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Andy and Sean? Yeah. Very good.
I got a little something to say here today. Wes, if you see my boss, tell him I'm at work, okay?
I will.
All right.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you were at work.
Yeah, I got lost for a minute, but I'm here today to recognize a certain individual that sits on your stand, as well as helped our city with being on the fire department for the past 43 years. A short time ago, Blair announced his retirement at one of our officer and weekly drill nights. Blair started with the Tremont Fire Department in 1983, December of '83. Throughout his tenure, he has held the ranks of captain, assistant chief, and chief. Blair did not just stop at that. He worked for our county as the assistant fire warden for 20 years as well. So you should know where his heart was. I know, and his family knows how much he loved being of service to his community, that they at times gave him a pass on family plans, baseball games, birthday parties to help serve the city. Years ago, before the fire department went full-time, our past chief, Steve Battis, came up with a service award at 25 years. Members of our department would receive an axe for their years of service. If you were on a full-time department, at 25 years, you were eligible to have a full retirement. So the department felt that we, as volunteers, deserved something for our time as well. Blair has surpassed those 25 years by 18 years. So tonight, on behalf of Tremont City and the fire department, we would like to present him this pike pole. This pike pole plaque is to kind of represent a hook. A hook to say my service is complete, and hanging up my helmet and moving on to long stays in Island Park, and most of all, spending more time with the family to catch up on some of the time we missed while serving the city. Thanks for all you've done, and as myself, the friendship we've had for so many years, and hopefully many more.
Now get back to work. Chief's gonna get mad.
Yeah, that's probably true.
No, you don't have to fight for mine.
Oh, you got your own whoopee.
I get mine back.
Thank you.
You bet.
You ought to come back up here where you can talk so they can all hear you, but. Oh. Who do you want?
Kelly, come on back.
You know, you could put Laura and Carol in there as these fling girls or something.
Yep.
Oh, Camus.
Yeah. One more. Blue shirts.
Katie.
Stand up.
That was rude.
Thanks.
You have anything to say?
That retiring from the fire department was the hardest decisions I made. And it's hard because it's a mindset that even I've worried about what happens in the Tremont Fire Department. I'm the fire chief at Northrop Grumman, and it's different, but the Tremont Fire Department, I've always worried about what was going on. It's hard to turn that off, so I don't know that I ever will, so I'm still going to be probably a pain in the butt for everybody that listens. So, but thank you for that, and there's a lot of history. Mark's probably not too far behind me. That's not a hint, but it's just, it's a lot of work. It's been fun, but it's been a lot of work. I've seen a lot of stuff, but the goods outweighed the bad by a long shot, so thank you.
Thanks, Blair.
All yeah, watch this group leave now. You don't stay, you don't get your cookie card.
Hey, Blair, you're in a position that you can still say something.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now on to item number 7, appointment and oath of office. Discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 25-14, appointing Jeffrey Gerald to serve as the Tremont City Fire Chief. Council, do we have any, I guess I would like to start by saying we're grateful for you to, we wish, yeah, come on up. We're excited. There's challenges before you. And, we have a department that is made up of both volunteers and full-time staff. And we need to, we're all in the same team. And if there was a recommendation from me that you work and they make this top priority, that we work together, we're a team, and we're all here for the betterment of our city, Tremont City. But we're excited about you. We're excited about what what great things you have in store for us, and we're looking forward to that. So, Council, do you have any other comments or questions?
I got one. I see some, when we get to that point, I see some out-of-towners. Do you want to introduce either they come to throw darts at you or congratulate you? I don't know which.
Maybe a little bit of both. No, there's quite a few here to support me, and I really appreciate them. I can introduce them all one by one if you'd like.
Well, just
So,
some of them Farmington guys, right?
yes, there's a few from Weber and South Weber as well. Farmington couldn't make it. A lot of those guys, because they're actually on shift today. They're my crew that works in Farmington. They wish they could be here. Let me just look, make sure I don't miss anybody. First off, my wife and kids are here. As you guys can probably see, there's quite a few of them. They make up half of the audience. And then my brother came up from down south as well.
Can't tell.
And I have some awesome friends that are here in the back from my mission that I met. And then one who's actually getting ready to leave as well. My sister-in-law, they were the phone. And then also our police department and fire department. Appreciate you guys. We have Keith Christensen from South Weber, and then Chief Tolman from South Weber as well, and his wife Joy with him. And then we have Carrie, who also works for you and works for South Weber and Northrop Grumman. And then Paul Christensen in the back and his family came to support me, and he used to work for Weber as well. Now he works with the State Fire Marshal's office. And then Jimmy Martinez still works for Weber as well, and works for South Weber also. And Jimmy's been there since day one and has seen me come up in the fire service. And there's quite a few guys that were on shift with me when I was on B shift at Weber that I thought were going to be here, but they couldn't make it. So that's all good. Okay. Yeah. Everybody has things they're doing. So there was quite a few people who couldn't make it tonight. And if you're at that point where you'd like me to say a few words, I would like to read
Until
something.
after you're,
Okay.
Let's make you official first.
start thinking.
I figured it was afterwards, but
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for coming, and also people here who live in the city who wanted to support me and come out. I appreciate that. Everyone's been awesome.
All right, good. Cynthia, you going to lead us in this?
Probably better pass the resolution first.
Oh, I jumped ahead of myself there, didn't I? Okay, so we have a motion for resolution number 25-14. Council?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2514, appointing Jeff Jarrell as the new fire chief.
And I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Blair Westergaard, seconded by Wes Eastep. Let's see, let's start with you.
Wes, yes.
Brett, yes.
Vance, yes.
Larry, yes.
Bo, yes.
Okay, now that's official. Now we can make the other part official. All right, so if we can have you come right over here, Jeff, and then Cynthia can lead you in the oath of office.
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
HR. You can come up and get pictures.
He's got more kids than the school, come to the school thing. Come on, Jeff.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you.
Chief?
Thank you. So like I said, I invited a few people that I could think of when I heard we're going to be doing the swearing in, and I was like, hey, can we move it to today so that I can get those people here? And Jimmy Martinez, Casey Neff, Paul Christensen, and Ori Valenzuela. There's quite a few others that saw me, like I said, come up in the fire service. And they can attest to the words that I'm going to read here. It's called One Warrior's Creed. And back when I worked for Weber several years ago, I joined the SWAT team as a SWAT medic. And this was their creed. It says, Today is to be the day, so be it. If you seek to do battle with me, this day you will receive the best that I am capable of giving. It may not be enough, but it will be everything I have to give, and it will be impressive, for I have consistently prepared myself for this day. I have trained, drilled, and rehearsed my actions so that I might have the best chance of defeating you. I have kept myself in peak physical condition, schooled myself in the martial skills, and have become proficient in the application of combat tactics. And that applies to the fire service as well. We use quite a bit of tactics and fighting fire, as Blair and Wes know, and everyone here in the room. You may defeat me, but you will pay a severe price and will be lucky to escape with your life. You may kill me, but I am willing to die if necessary. I do not fear death, for I have been close enough to it on enough occasions that it no longer concerns me. But I do fear the loss of my honor, and would rather die fighting than to have it said that I was without courage. So I will fight you, no matter how insurmountable it may seem, and to the death if need be, in order that I may never, it may never be said of me that I was not a warrior. And that was by Steve R. Watt. And so you know what kind of character and what kind of person you're going to get. And these guys can attest to it. My family can attest to it, that I will fight to the end. If you want a guy that'll come in here and ask you one time for something and walk out and forget about it, that's not me. I'm not that guy. If I'm going to ask you for something, it's because I need it. It's because the citizens need it. The department needs it. And I'm going to be persistent. And at times I'm going to be annoying, but I won't stop until I get what I need and the city has what it needs to protect itself and keep its citizens safe. And so I hope that's what you want, because that's what you got. And so that's what I wanted to leave you with. And I'm proud to be here in Tremont and serve this city. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Item number 8, public comments. This is an opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or your ideas that are relevant and germane to the municipal business. We're asking you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. The time is now yours. And thanks to everybody for coming and supporting Jeff. We appreciate you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8. Item number 9, we're going to hold 2 different public hearings. The first one is to consider the adoption of the proposed tentative budget entitled the Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2025 to 2026, the general fund, the capital funds, enterprise funds, and special funds for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. Public hearing is now open. Okay. We'll close the public hearing for item number A. Item number B, to consider approving compensation, oh, boy,
Got my glasses?
no, I guess I can make it work. See, oh, I did with mine. Okay, to consider approving compensation increases for executive municipal officers as contained in the proposed tentative budget entitled the Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2025 to 2026, general fund, capital funds, enterprise funds, and special funds for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. Thank you. How can I lose? Okay, I'll close that public hearing on item number B. Moving on to item 10, new council business. Discussion and consideration of adopting Resolution 2020-2518, approving the tentative budget entitled the Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2025 to 2026, general fund, capital funds, enterprise funds, and special funds for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. Now, I want to emphasize that this is a tentative budget and almost certainly will change over the course of the next 6 weeks. And but the discussion is now open. Council?
So with that, the final budget needs to be approved on June 17th. That's when we need to have this all brought together.
Third week and so on.
We've
Yeah.
been hammering down on capital discussions, and tonight was the operating budget. And we appreciate everybody that has put time into this budget, the hours that has been spent so far. And again, as Mayor has said, we're not quite there yet. So with that in mind, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 25-18, approving the tentative budget for tonight.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? We'll have discussion after that. We can have discussion after the second.
Okay.
I'll second it,
Okay,
but now we need discussion.
okay, motion by Lyle Vance, seconded by Wes Eastep. Do we have any discussion?
Well, I think we have a lot of discussion, don't we?
I think we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Curtis, do you want to come sit up here so we can talk to you, my friend? So as far as the spreadsheet's concerned, let me start with mine and then let's branch out and ask some questions. At one point, you had guessed that we would have $2 million to move forward into our capital fund that we would transfer over, and it looks like now we're down to 174,000 that could be transferred over, that's left over from that 2 million. Is 2 million, what would be a more accurate number now that you've put these together than the 2 million? In other words, how much more is this budget than, well, I don't know. We had 2 million, but I think it would have been a little bit less than that, correct?
It would have been.
Yeah.
So, Because of the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fire that we've already discussed. Which was 400. Is that true? So last year, we set aside, basically almost $1.9 million.
Okay.
That's what we set aside that was available.
Okay.
We've tried in this to isolate down where various increases are. Some of the funds have moved out to a new road fund. So this is one of the areas that I'm still analyzing. Remember the council approved creating the road fund. And so you're going to see revenues coming out of that were previously recorded in the general fund that now are going to be recorded in our fund 29, which is the roads fund, and the corresponding expenditures.
So would it be fair to say that 1.2 million is really part of that capital that we would have? Part of that 2 million that we would have brought over, or was it in an account, was it in a fund already, in the general fund through impact fees and all that?
Which 1.2?
Roads.
RTIF and.
Yeah, the
29.
That $1.2 million in expenditures.
Yeah.
That would have been inside of the $1.2 million would have been part of the streets department. So that would have been the 820,000, part of the Class C roads fund, and there would also been some road repairs that were coming out of the transportation capacity fund. That one was accounting just for some regular road maintenance. Doesn't qualify as capital. It's just like resurfacing a street. So that $1.2 million, of that $1.2 million, $870,000 would have been in the general fund last year.
Okay. So 400,000.
It is
Yeah.
different.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the transportation capacity budget to see what of that we slid over. I don't have that.
So I think my biggest concern is we're going from a 1.9 million down to 174,000, and then there's the 400 or 350 or whatever you're talking there. But that's a pretty big difference in what we did last year. And so I'm concerned. I just don't know how we're going to do it. So please help me with your discussion.
well, maybe for the sake of for those that are listening, so they understand where that change, that major change happened, there was a transfer in the fire department fund. Curtis, maybe you could kind of explain maybe what happened there and why we're, because that is a big change, and it kind of came as a,
But isn't that just 400,000?
Yeah, it's about 400,000. As we discussed in the workshop session, is where we talked about it previously. We had mistakenly included using fund balance for operational expenses, which you could do that 1 year, but you can't do that over time. That's like using your savings to pay for your utility bill. Your savings eventually runs out. So we had to correct that $400,000. So that would have taken us from 1.9 down to about 1.5
Okay.
ish. So that's some of the difference.
And 800,000 that would have been on that road thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's corresponding revenues that we pulled out for the on the revenues versus the expenses. I was just looking at that. For the roads, we pulled out, let's see that one, 850. It's almost a wash. We pulled out $850,000 worth of revenue, and we pulled out about $850,000 worth of expenditures. So that one about washes out. So Fund 29 is going to have a fairly minimal impact on that difference.
So the asks are more, correct? They're just flat, more asked by everybody? Is that-
There are a number of higher departments that are listed out on the one-page summary. That are causing some of these differences.
now, just so, again, I'm kind of speaking to the audience a little bit. I know some of you have already been here for the work session, but there may be others tuning in. This budget does include cost of living increase, COLA, 3%, and for the salaries and so forth. And it also includes the cost of the insurance, health insurance has gone up. I believe, if I heard correctly, 10%. So those numbers are factored into the overall increase for employees and that kind of thing. So that part of it, maybe for the benefit of those that are listening. There is also proposed. There's proposed increases to the budget in terms of, I believe, the planner department, the planner and Parks and Recreation. There's some changes there as well. So if you look on, if I go over here. No, it's huge.
I might be speaking out of turn. I
don't
think
think
if
so.
it's a big ask, then it needs to be explained. I think the police department explained what they're doing, but it's even, I don't know, the executive raises, there's some raises in there that's like, it hasn't been explained. There was somebody way behind or what, but there's some giant ones there. And I don't know.
do you want to go through and?
I don't know. I'm just asking, did that get explained sometime that I missed? I know Bill's not here and that's not
No,
fair.
I
to
agree. 16 to 26% raises they're big. That's big. And I agree. I'd love to understand those a little bit more.
So again, this is a tentative budget, and I think that this, where Bill has been excused, he's on a family vacation, and we'll be back for the next council meeting. And, like I said, this is a tentative budget.
Not gonna-
So this almost certainly will change, and we can have this more explained to us a little bit better. But I know that we're looking at creating a new department. The community development director would be in charge of overall community development. And then there would be the other large change would be the community service director. These are suggestions that, recommendations coming from our city manager, if that's correct. Lindsay, is that correct? And so,
But let me get this right. Community Service Director is Zach,
yes.
correct? And Community Development Director is Jeff?
Yeah, is my
So
understanding.
I guess he's got to explain it. What was the reason? Just a name or what?
Responsibility.
You what?
Increased
Yeah, I
responsibility.
just think it needs to be explained. It's
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
the extra big money somewhere, I've never put in for a budget. You didn't have to explain what it was for.
Sure.
I even just for instance, like the fire chief, I think he just got a good raise, or we surely are not gonna give him another 3% COLA and 3% increase from, are we?
This is all I can say
We
is
make him an
this is-
offer with X amount of dollars, and
And included the 3% COLA in July and a probationary increase. We put all of our employees on probation for the first year, and they're eligible for a 3% increase at the end of that year.
wow, I think
That-
if
I
you
mean,
got a
that's the
promotion, you
stuff that
can't
we
get a
just
COLA too,
Need
can
to
you?
know. Not that we're gonna find the money there, but
Again,
I just keep going. Chief, I'm going to use you as an example. He come up and he said, we're going to ask for the moon. And so I don't know how much of the moon's been asked for. So I would really, I don't mind doing the tentative budget, but I really think I'd love you to go back and really now grind down and see where can we cut some expenses. I think we need to really bring this down.
And to your point, Brett, we actually have 4 possible solutions. If you would like me to go over that, I'm happy to do it.
and I agree. I think you've done a good job, but I haven't heard. I mean, Carl's got his own budget that's already set. We went through that, but
just
I
think
mean,
that them are
Andy's here. He was in what's the extra, what was it, any extra that you put that wasn't there last year?
Very little.
Like a big ticketed extra?
No.
$7,000 for station supplies. 5,000.
I mean, it's just hard to figure out where all of it went. It's like at home.
Fire department really only had like 4 asks.
That's what I'm
Highest
saying.
was $7,000.
But
So,
they're like 800,000 more. And I know we
because-
kind of talked about that a little bit, but it's still a significant amount. So maybe we ought to have the fire department come in and talk to us a little bit about those changes, right, Blair?
well, yeah, but I mean, they didn't have that much,
$7,000 in changes.
changes. It's,
Or 7, not 7.
Oh.
theirs is more in accounting because on this sheet, is the PD even on here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
20, or,
What, 29?
General fund.
Oh, right there.
Well, my 2 cents on this whole thing, for what it's worth, this is just one council person speaking, but I would just like to see us try to tune down the budget the best we can. And I, for one, do not feel like we need to go after people's property taxes. I feel that we've seen enough inflation, and I've got a list this long of reasons why we shouldn't do it. But I think we need to find a way to have a balanced budget with the money we have. And I believe that we can do, through some economic development, through some things in the future, we can start to grow this. But I think it's going to take a little sacrifice on all of our parts. The city council on our insurances, I'm willing to take, I would rather pay money out of my pocket than ask citizens to pay that for me. And so, I'm willing to take a hit on whatever we need to there to make this budget work.
Amen.
But I'm concerned.
Amen.
That's all I have to say. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Any other discussion?
I just want to express the idea that, to your point, with 175,000, that's what's left for capital projects. Granted, there's other stuff in the funds, and we need to finish the capital project sheet to understand the timing of those. There's 9.2, but that's also
Right,
been, a lot of things have been reserved already to be spent in the future, meaning they're not available, right? And so we have to be good stewards of those funds that have been set aside for the future. And so it just definitely infringes on things that we can do. And I share the sentiment of Brett, and I definitely don't have an appetite for raising property tax or sales tax. I think they are things that I'm not excited or entertaining, touching. So we need to live within our means of where we're at and figure this out and really sharpen our pencil.
Okay.
So I know this sounds off the wall or whatever, but when was the last time Tremont City ever went to their department heads and says, I want you to cut 3% out of your budget? Not in the 3 years I've been here, but Lyle, do you ever remember them asking to cut a budget?
I don't remember going through that process.
We've been doing this for 10 years.
Right.
We're in a different dimension. I've explained this before. And what we've got going here, the past city manager really had his fingers on the numbers, to the point we really had to pry numbers out to figure out what was going on. In my opinion, budgets were inflated, and then monies were controlled that way. Without getting into a lot of detail, this is the first time I've seen it where the numbers now are all open. They're all here. We've never seen it this way before. This is the way it's supposed to be. And we did actually go back in the past and ask them to shave down and that type of stuff. This time, I think it needs to happen, because I feel like what's going on is it's like noodles getting thrown against the wall. I mean, all the department heads, rightfully so, are requesting what they need to run their department and be maybe fat and sassy, or not. Maybe they're doing it as skinny as they can. But I don't think it's a bad idea for us to take this and throw it back now and say, just like this, instead of us trying to go down with us not knowing how to run those departments and telling them what they need and what they don't need, we need to go back and say, we need you to cut 15% off your budget and tell us how you're gonna do it. Straight across. I mean, that's one approach that we can use, versus us up here trying to tell people what they can and can't have, and us not understanding in detail what they really need. So that is an approach that we could use as city council to just say, look, here, we appreciate you doing the budget. Now we need to have you, each one of you cut 15% and see if we can do this thing. 15% off this budget would get us back up to what, $500,000 in surplus. Go from 175.
I have to figure that.
I mean, I get, that's another thing, we're just having a discussion here. We went from 2 million down to 175,000, and that's like giving us whiplash. What number are you feeling comfortable with? What are we asking them to do? How much surplus do we need?
I don't know. I know in the past, sometimes they've turned some money back or whatever, I don't think any of our department heads has ever spent everything we give them.
And that's the way it's happened in the past.
Right.
I mean, and that's
Is there a chance that there'll be just what you just said, a surplus from this year?
There usually
The
is.
surplus.
Is it possible, because I don't think we have a lot of mismanagement. I think we have great employees.
Right.
Is it possible that there's things that are interdepartmental? So for example, Amazon Prime memberships, we have 9 or 10. Is that because each department has an Amazon Prime membership? Could we consolidate those into one Tremont and City Prime membership? That's just one simple example, and it's simple because it's $38 a month, but $38 a month adds up over times 10 times 12, right? Over time. Is that one example of other stuff that it's not necessarily that each department is not being good stewards, but as a whole collectively that maybe there's waste that could be cut. So is there a way that we could bring all the department heads together to brainstorm those creative ideas that are simple but that could create impact, right? Because if we take that one example, 3877 times 10, that's $387 that we're spending a month times 12, and consolidate that to one, that adds up. If we do that times 25 other items, we can put a lot of money back on the bottom line really quickly. So that just a thought that maybe there's interdepartmental waste that we're just not seeing because it's not.
Does each one have a Prime account? Is that for their department? So you get one account, it's
A lot of ordering too, so if you have one person doing all of the ordering, that's gonna be a full-time job in and of itself.
Well, you can have different users on a membership account. I'm just using it as an example, I'm not saying that one is the answer, but it could be things of that nature where us collectively against the system could find waste that nobody's intentionally doing, but just collectively has happened over time.
There's a
As
lot
we've
of
grown.
department stuff that, like, we give Parks and Recs,
All the hand-me-downs.
Old Mini X,
Yeah.
we didn't get money out of it or whatever, and what else? We just give them something else, don't remember.
Truck.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
truck.
He gave him a truck.
And we get cop trucks all the time too. Them guys aren't being able to surplus them because there's always somebody else that
Yep.
needs their old trucks. So there is a
I know
lot
in
of
the
that going
workplace,
on.
we used to have that where we would bring all of our department heads together and it was amazing how they'd be like, well, I got one of those out in the backyard, and you would end up using it and it saved you $10,000 in an expense that the other department was gonna have. Do we do interdepartmental budget talk at all? Is that been something that we've tried? And even if we just tried it as a workshop and said, hey, our goal is to find X amount of creative waste like that could
A little
possibly be
budget
hiding.
crunch now for that. Great idea, but somehow or other, we have to figure out this budget and then, because I think you're looking at a 4 or 5 month process. there.
Sure.
So Curtis, what happens if we just pass it the way it is?
Basically, it becomes the starting point for the council to say, okay, here's what our goals are. We'd like to see this happen. And over the course of the next 6 weeks, we keep refining this budget, adding in the capital eventually to where we have a final budget that the council can vote on the 17th.
What I'm saying is operational only. If we didn't change it at all and it went through, what would that do to us next year? With only having $174,000.
Well,
No room for mess ups.
We presented the capital budgets that are out there. The council has about $9.3 million for general projects. We're only focusing on general. And so you'd be able to satisfy those, but you would only be setting aside an additional $175,000 to pay for future capital projects. Or to
This
use
year.
on future.
For this year.
So basically, the 9.3 million that we said that's already in savings, you'd add to that this 175. So you'd be just shy of $9.5 million that the council would have ability to assign for capital projects, one-time money. That's one-time money.
No,
Does that make sense? So the family budget, you've got 9 million sitting in savings, and you're just breaking even this year. You're not coming out
Close.
ahead, you're just breaking even.
You're not saving for
So I
future
go along
car
with
purchase and.
Brett says, that's
Yep.
scary. We need to be able to have a surplus just in case we stub our toe in the middle of the year and something happens to the city, like, a lawsuit that's happened in the past and that type of stuff. I mean, we got no room here.
You could lose a great sales tax provider, a business that's doing really well and providing good sales tax could.
And there's nowhere for the capital money to be somehow, we
Moved out
don't
of
spend it,
capital.
moved out of capital to pay for the lawsuit or whatever.
Well, you could for one-time money. I mean, you
It's
want to make
one
sure
time.
it's one-time expenditure. It's not an ongoing expenditure.
You could go on a Disneyland trip, but pull it out of savings, right? Now it's gone.
Well,
Maybe a bad example, but
I think
I know what you mean.
you had a good idea. Someone, let's give them can we try getting that 175 to 500,000 or a million? Can we throw a number out there and then ask the departments to try hitting that target?
I like that idea.
I would
that-
propose an interdepartmental workshop with that goal in mind.
Yeah.
To come up with X amount of money that we interdepartmentally can come up with. Because I think we could find some stuff there.
What percentage would you guess we could find? I think 15's a big number, but percent.
I don't know. I know one thing we could do is eat before we come. I mean, it's a small thing, but it adds up, and it's our contribution to being able to impact that budget.
So if you, just for as an example, if you wanted to bring the budget up to where you're leaving $1 million that would be able to be set aside for capital, that would be asking the department that just for what's going through the general fund, that would be about almost a 9.5% reduction across the board. Or to something overall. It's 9.5%.
Well, let's
of
ask
the
them to go
current
back and see
budget.
if they can find 10%.
Chief, that you said you had some ideas, but was that on capital or on?
Yeah,
regular
it's on
budget?
operational, you want me to?
Yeah,
The
please.
way it is. Carl, just start thinking. I know but think?
So, I mean, the long and short is we're gonna pay for it one way or another. One option we have is we can look at attrition, and not backfilling those allocations. Because in my mind, if we're going to lose somebody, I'd rather lose them to natural, organic attrition, go a little shorter staff to make up the difference, than lose multiple to other departments that we've trained. And that way we can retain the majority. Now, a lot of departments have done this. It makes progress in one way, but it hurts us in another, especially as a growing community, but it is a viable option. Another option is as we evaluate this, I know we built in that 3%, we can sacrifice our 3% for the adjustment as far as COLA, because most people will come out ahead, but then we're going to be slightly behind other agencies. Another idea, after talking to the Brigham chief, they are doing that 80% across the board, and I'm with Brett. I would sacrifice that. It sucks, and we share the burden, but how much money does that free up for all those other competing demands? One other thing I would remind the council when I did present is we can make this adjustment over time. So for me to retain my employees, they just need to see progress. They need to see good faith in that. They all understand. I did a survey. It was like 100% of them said they would be okay with it over time. So maybe we struggle this year and we're like, hey, we're going to try to do the best we can on this STEP program, and maybe we phase it in and not get that exact match, but we work at it over a period of a couple years. The fear, of course, which Bo brought up, is we don't know what other agencies are going to do. So we might stay behind the 8 ball, but that shows that we're doing the best we can.
We went through this process here just a week or two ago with the Bear River Conservancy District.
Yeah.
And they're similar to Tremont, and they were at 90% on their
benefits,
on their health insurance. Yeah, and what they did was they changed that to 80%. And now maybe the way you just thinking off the top of my head, maybe the way you look at it is maybe some of the more higher paid, it might be some of the lower paid ones, maybe that it is 90%.
Sure.
For some of the lower, on the lower pay scale, maybe some of the higher paid ones, maybe you go to 80%.
Yeah.
But that would save, fair piece right there, that one. And it might be just the way it goes with the way things are working right now.
Yeah, and I can't speak for everybody in the city. I know if I was to put it out to my people, I'd be confident they would be okay with that as far as making a sacrifice for the long-term vision. And it's something we can always evaluate as things change in the future. And it's something that's working for Brigham, so I'm not completely opposed to it. None of them are great solutions. I mean, going backwards after we worked so hard to get our staffing up, that would be bad. But what's worse is losing multiple people and running the deficit. And the other thing I would comment on that the council brought up, when we look at cutting the budget, it's almost like kicking the can down the road. Like I met with Lindsay today and a couple times since, and we had cut how much more, Lindsay?
$4,000.
Yeah, 54,000 out of our budget. Year over year since I started, I average about 100,000 giving back to the city. We don't spend recklessly. We are pretty efficient. We look for better ways to be more efficient. There's definitely not much fat to cut, if any, and some of those cuts set us behind where we're going to make up for them later. I mean, we talked about that with capital expenditures. I could push vehicles out. That's going to create more operational costs in the form of repairs. And then eventually we're going to have to buy new vehicles, and then they're going to be more expensive. So these are all things that we are constantly working on. LT brought forth the idea of leasing, exploring different options. Didn't work out. You had a great point, Lyle. Like you put their feet to the fire, and it wasn't the best move for the city. And I'm glad we got denied on that. But that's us actively trying to be as efficient as we can with our budget. I have no intention of wasting any money. I'm a taxpayer myself. I hate taxes. I hate that as a solution, but I also understand the importance and what we're potentially looking at. Have we not make the necessary adjustments to this? And I said it time and time again, I'll continue to say it is critical for our department. If that means I got to go back in staffing and that meets the goal, we're willing to do that. And if we have that meeting, I'm happy to participate. I just don't have much more I can personally cut. I can help brainstorm with other department heads. But now we're going to start looking at, attrition, sacrificing our personal COLAs, and looking at the benefit adjustment. I mean, we're on board with that, or adjusting over time, but then, we're competing with inflation and things like that.
Be nice if we, if we're looking at cost savings and trimming the budget, and, let's try to take the personnel part of it off the table. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about letting people go or anything like that. I think that's something we need to make clear up front.
Yeah, sure, and I don't want to.
At other ways that we can, other cost-saving measures.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor, and I'm right there with you. It's the last thing I want to do, and I'm not proposing a RIF, a reduction in force at all. I think that's wrong. Yeah, it would be attrition, so it's more organic. We typically lose one person a year to whatever. It's just the average, and that's an improvement from what we were losing before. So I don't like the solution, but if that's the goal and that's what we're trying to meet, we're willing to give.
I mean, we've put a lot of work into getting to this
Agreed.
point right here.
Yeah.
And we don't want to give back what we've gained
Right.
as far as helping our departments and that kind of thing. So that's just my
Yeah,
recommendation.
I agree.
Going
I
through
totally
this
agree, and I don't want it to come across wrong at all. That's the last thing I want to see happen.
So, thank you for your attitude.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think you hit something that got me thinking. Curtis, this is the first time we've really seen the budget this well, and now we know where we sit. Okay, so we're starting from the start, right? So I think now's the time we start setting some goals, we start getting some economic development going, we get some revenues, we start really shooting forward into the future, and this first year is going to be a little tough.
Sure.
But if we can really start to accomplish the things we want to accomplish, then all of a sudden, like you said, we can start to plug all this into play. And if all the departments can be patient with us and know that here's the end goal, then I think that we could all work together to come up with what everyone's after.
Yeah. I guess I'm right in line with you, as long as we're showing a good faith effort and we're producing some type of result with the long-term goal and the reassurance that we're heading in this direction. We just might not be there 100% yet. And at the end of the day, that's the tough part of your job, is you have to make that decision, and it affects people's lives. I feel, right there with you. My job is to give you every possible option. And I mean, we're all on the same team. We want the same outcome. But
I was just gonna say that is like, we are on the same team. I hope you don't feel challenged in any way as far as lack of trust. In fact, I do speaking engagements on employee culture and trust. And part of that makes this awkward in city, in business, you just go impact sales, and then you get to increase, pay your people better than market rate.
Sure.
Which frankly, I think we can over time get to. That's a goal of mine. That's why I'm so passionate about the economic development side.
Yeah.
Is that we're going to go get some good sales tax revenue that's going to give us the ability to do the things that we want to do.
Sure.
Right? And so we're going to go get it, to your point, Brett, and be able to do what we want.
Yeah, and I share that goal. It's just getting by until then and keeping what we have. Because, I mean, as the council's aware, and we've put it out there to the community, we've had tremendous progress. And that comes with seasoned investigators, police officers, and people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And we are making a positive impact. And I want to keep that momentum going, but it's hard to do if we're having turnover. And so my goal ultimately is to keep the great people we have and to take care of them. And that way they can take care of us as we grow.
One thing, too, I mean, we sort of had the boo-boo with the, the unexpected cost.
Sure.
That hopefully we don't repeat that. And so next year, things hopefully will be a whole lot more sunny than they are this year.
I'm not gonna promise that, because one thing, I've explained this to the council in the past, our property tax revenues are $3 million. That amount is constant except for whatever allowance there is for new growth. So there is no inflation accounted for in that number. So if there are other inflationary costs within your expenses, that property tax is gonna stay constant and it will fall behind. It's just a mathematics of it.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I just think we got a ways to wait before we make up some of the 59%, so it's all.
Well, okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we've had considerable discussion on this. Again, I emphasize that this is not the final budget, that this is a tentative budget, and we've got lots of work to do. So I think we've pretty well discussed this. I'm going to call for a vote on the tentative budget, understanding that there could be some changes.
Lindsay, are you okay looking at that 80% across the board just to see what that does for us?
Yeah, I would say this year, 91,746.60.
Okay, well, that figure would be great when we sit down and talk again, so thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank
Unless
you.
there's other questions?
No, I think we're good.
Just one more. I mean, we've
Okay,
been talking, no,
all right.
I mean, thank you. Carl,
Yes, sir.
is there any room in your budget that you can just see off
Our general.
hand? How tight is your budget?
If I understand correctly, if you're moving streets out of the general fund, then I'm no longer funded by general fund. Is that correct? And so, and I'm new to this department, so I'm not taking any credit or anything. But we're self-funded. Public Works is self-funded. So that's our challenge. So we have to do the same thing that you're wrestling with
Except for the streets.
except for the streets. But now if you move that, which
Revenue.
have we not done that?
Yeah, we
So you've asked me to do the same thing that you're dealing with in my department, and now that's my challenge going forward, that we're gonna be 100% self-funded. And so we do the projects that we can afford to do. If we need a new building, we gotta self-fund that. Any of our equipment, that's all gotta be self-funded. And I'm with the chief. If I gotta choose between some equipment and keeping people, I'm gonna keep my people, and we're gonna repair equipment as needed. And that's something that we should be doing, and I believe that we do to a point anyways. But in Public Works, if I gotta cut 10%, well, I'm gonna cut a project. That's how that works. And roads in particular, I think, get overlooked that way a lot. But we just don't do a road, and it needs it,
Get behind.
Yeah, so I'm tasked to do the same thing that you're being asked to do.
Thank you. I mean, I think it's good that everybody hears that side of it too. I mean, the roads get funded through this excess that we get from our budget, that this year we don't have any. I mean, so you can just see it's snowballing the other way is what's going on. So,
And you have 1.2 million in there, right? To do projects this year?
It's 1.2 million is the entire budget.
Correct.
And I gotta correct something in the spreadsheet. The 1.23 million in there is actually the revenue side of things. Their actual expenditure budget was only 878,000, say 880,000. That's just easier. So their budget, as far as expenses, really didn't go up. But they will be accumulating 400,000 that they can put towards road projects. But that's gonna be it's in that revenue fund so that we know it's specifically for road projects.
Is that RTIF?
That's
and
RTIF,
B and
the
C?
sales tax, and the Class C road money. And impact, there's a small
Impact
impact fee that, as those come in. We only adopted the buy-in portion, so it's recovering to help improve roads. There's no commitment to build a new road off of that.
So I got another dumb question, because I can't get past where the capital, I know what capital's for, but if we got 9.2 and we only spend 7, then what happens to the other 2?
It'll remain inside the capital projects funds, just like a savings account, and can be allocated at some point that the council determines at some future period.
To the
Whether it's next year or
131 of requests,
Right.
with 174 to contribute in the future to, right? So that's the conundrum.
It's like having a buffer.
Well, that's what I mean, but,
Yep.
so it doesn't help to have a buffer, to not spend?
We're not saving for the future asset needs that we're gonna have in the future. With 174, we're basically spending all of our income. There's nothing to put toward the assets.
City or
We're gonna need a new car, we're gonna need a new, right, and that's not included in the operational budget. So when the car breaks down,
Well, I understand that part, but I don't understand why some of the capital can't pay for something else, like whatever happens. If
For some sort of contingency, one-time expense.
the ambulance wrecks it and we gotta buy another ambulance.
You could use that money for that purpose, sure, it just go as a new capital type item.
But it's all gotta be straight up capital. It can't ever filter back to the general fund or the operational fund at all.
That would be trying to fund ongoing expenses out of your savings account.
Okay.
And it only lasts for so long. And
So
then
you could do it 1 time or 2 times if you had to, but you try not to.
Which is kind of where we did that with the fire department, and then we faced this, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have really done it that way, because it feels like we're having to come up with the funds from someplace. Because, yeah, you can only pay the bills so many times out of your savings account.
So how long did it take us to generate that 9.2 million? I mean, it took us a while to put that savings together.
Oh, absolutely. That's been built up over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Net of the amounts being spent out, because we have had some large
We've added
capital purchases.
each year, we kind of add some to the capital fund.
So the goal is to start getting more revenue.
We're not gonna spend all that.
oh yeah,
So, yeah, you're right, more revenue is,
I mean, if you're really trying to cover, what, $60-70 million worth of expenses in the next 10 years, I mean, we should be dropping $70 million to the bottom, or $7 million to the bottom line, and that's just not realistic. This is where there's some big question marks about those capital projects, which one can really be funded,
yeah.
and at what time frame.
I know we don't like to talk about, these increases, property tax increases and so forth. There's other funding mechanisms out there, I guess. But the thing I get worried about, I just get worried about us, not doing anything. It seems to me like it's a lot easier pill to swallow if it's 3% a year than if it's a large property tax increase, 10 or 15 or 20 or 50%. We don't want to ever have to go through that.
I do want to address something Brett asked me previously, because Brett, I've been pondering upon this because you made a great point. The police chief came in here and said, okay, for my vehicles, I need about $400,000 per year. Or was it almost 400, I'm just gonna use 400,000 because it's easy for me right now. If his request is to have 400,000 a year set aside for vehicles, and we're only putting 175 before that ask, and that's just one of the asks. We're not even funding the police vehicle ask off of the current revenues in the general fund.
Correct.
So you asked me, how could I put this in there to show it? It's by showing what it takes against that 175 net number. Because that's where we are, that's what is currently requested to operate the city off of. Well, that's the leftover. And right now, there's not even enough to fund the police vehicle purchases, let alone any of the other ongoing amounts that we want to be able to set aside for future replacements of other equipment or vehicles. So, does that help it? I know I kind of put you off on that, but now that we see this picture, it helps me better explain it.
So if I can explain, Lyle, along with what you just said. Social Security went up 3% and it went up 8%, a total of 11% in the last 3 years. Medicare went up 14%. Okay, so a person on Social Security is paying more out of their pocket than they were before. Okay, and there's no COLAs coming forward in Social Security. So my concern is we start hitting people on Social Security with 3% increases. Where are they going to? We're bleeding a turnip. They don't have it, and so we got to wait until economy starts to catch up. And then when it starts to, then we can start to go along with the economy. But I'm just saying this year.
Actually, there was a cost of living in Social Security.
Yeah, 8%.
Mine wasn't, not this year. But yeah, all I know is that this is a situation we've got, and we've got some hard choices to make. It's not going to be easy. We've got 6 weeks to come up with a final budget, and so I don't know.
The other thing that I want to bring up too that I've heard from citizens and is the property tax is going to be going up from the county as they've, from what I understand, they've approved a bond and they're moving
the
forward.
school district.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's going to go up also, which is going to impact everybody's property tax. And that has nothing to do with, what we're doing, but it does impact the people that are paying that bill. And so if we were to propose and lump in property tax increases, that's just going to be a big hit on a lot of families.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
One thing we have been able to do that we've been fairly successful with is going after grant funding, and I think that we need to pursue that. Over the last couple of years, we've been successful in bringing in about, it's something over 4 million. And, when we start looking at the bottom line here, and we've been successful in bringing in $4 million, and that's just some of the stuff that I know of. I think that's an area that we need to really pursue and aggressively pursue.
I thought it was interesting that Chief brought up that DOJ took some of that funding away from you, and so those grants are going to be a little harder to come by. But I agree with you that's been our lifesaver, hasn't it?
It has been. Well, 4 million. And,
Yeah.
that's all gone to capital items, capital projects, and so forth. Yeah, it's been incredibly
If I can clarify
important.
for COLA, just on the Social Security, I just did a quick Google search. So 2025 was a 2.5% increase. 2024 was 3.2. 2023 was 8.7. 2022 was 5.9, and 2021 was 1.3. That's your 5-year history.
And that's Social Security.
That's the Social Security
0.5
COLA
sounds about.
increases.
We just got a letter, and that's why I knew.
So they are fairly small. I mean, except for the year when there was really high inflation. But that's what the COLA is for Social Security for the last 5 years.
One more angle that you guys need to be thinking about too while you're thinking about how we can fix the budget, work on it and that type of stuff. You know, we all been hitting around about real estate increases and doing it incrementally over time. That's what we keep hearing. Do you know what 3% gives us? If we did the incremental thing, we get 3 million a year off real estate taxes. 3%'s $90,000.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Same as our growth.
You know, it's not that much. We've got to look at the numbers in the budget and try to rein it down a little bit.
All right. Good. Well, council, do we have any other discussion? We have a motion and a second and a lot of discussion. Can I call for a vote? Okay, Brett, you're up.
Brett, yes.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Blair, yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is the tentative.
Wes, yes.
Oh, I'm
I get a
sorry.
vote too, Mayor. I'm gonna start throwing something at you when you're not paying attention.
I apologize. So this is the tentative budget, and it's almost 100% certain that it'll change.
100%.
And so,
Not almost.
not even 100% certain we will change. So, all right. Wow. Almost lost track of where we're at here. Discussion on our item number B, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution 25-19 to award a bid to Landmark Construction for the Midland Square Improvement Project. We received the budget. I guess you've had probably an opportunity to go through and review that. This is all within, the project is within budget. Let's see. Anyway, it's all within budget, and the bid is for $540,286 with the $405,720 that we have from the grant, and the $174,000 I think that we budgeted quite a while back, that we cover everything, cover the costs with this. We cover the costs. So, is there any discussion?
Have we got any numbers on the rest of Main Street?
They are working on those numbers, sort of as we speak. We're still working on, just how much we're going to do. Are we going to do if we're going to do, and then maybe some guidance here would be really helpful, but if we're going to do just the, sidewalk, the infrastructure and the sidewalk and the lights and so forth, that's one thing. If we're going to go, maybe that's phase one. Phase two might involve some other improvements, but,
I don't know we make that decision until we have the numbers.
oh, we can't, on Main Street, we can't. No, we can't even come close to that. But what we have on the table right now is just Midland.
So the constituents are gonna ask us what's going on with Main Street, because Park was part of Main Street.
Mhm.
I mean, what are we doing with the rest of it? I think I don't know where we're at with grant and all that type of stuff, but it seems premature to approve just part of it and not knowing what the game plan is for the rest of it.
Well, yeah, we have to,
Are we waiting on the engineer for those numbers? Who's doing those?
On the
numbers?
city or on Main?
On Main. We've been asking for those for weeks now. Who does those? We're waiting for the engineer?
I'll bet. Chris does.
Jeff, do you have an update on that estimated?
Yeah, we've, with a couple projects out to bid now, we are having weekly update meetings with the engineer. It won't happen this week because of a conference in Logan, but they're at about, I think they'll be close to 50% in a couple weeks. And so we've been having really good progress with them. We just haven't gotten numbers yet with the design because we're still, starting to scrutinize the design a little bit more on the plan view. But my hope was to have a report to the council probably probably in about a month to show the updates.
Thanks for volunteering that information.
So this Midland Square project it's going to flatten the square and put in new cement
Okay, yeah, so,
and a restroom.
yes.
And what's it gonna do with the current vet stuff?
They
Is
get
it-
Okay,
another
so the-
flagpole. They wanted
okay,
a Space Force flagpole.
Let me explain that. So what part of the budget is to, so the memorial, the name placards, the memorial, the placards, the statue, all of that, nothing's changing there. That'll stay exactly as it is. The flat work around the memorial and around the statue and the placards and everything, that will be broke up and replaced with fresh new pavers and sidewalk and everything, flat work. So it matches the rest of the project. So you're right, we're basically going in, we're flattening out the uneven landscape, taking out the wall, the 3-foot walls and all that kind of stuff, flattening it out, making it more useful, and then coming in with a restroom and, and then also in an increase along the west side, there will be an increase in the area that the veterans can use for future monuments and different things that they've got going on.
But that's not part of this. I mean, that's a future.
Yeah, that's part of this.
They'll be level for it, but they'll, no.
But they're responsible to put in their memorials and things like that, but we'll have it prepared for them.
Now, what about the towers coming down?
Yes.
What
Relocated.
about, is it relocated?
Well, we're gonna
Relocate
we're gonna put it somewhere.
Relocate it to another
Okay, and
area.
what about the pavers that the people have?
Okay,
Were we
so
gonna
I've
put
gone
those on
over
the wall
there.
somewhere?
Yeah, I've gone over and I've written them all down. I've got the ones that are legible. There's a few of them that are illegible right now, but we're going to find out who they are. I've written down everybody, and what we'll do is we'll put in a brass plaque that has all of the names on it, so it's a little more permanent. The pavers just don't.
So we'll continue to recognize them for what they,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And they can pick up them pavers if they want them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Put them here in the city office somewhere if.
Yeah, if they want them, they can come and get them, but they will be, those names will be preserved
Right.
in there, so, yeah.
And then this says furnish and install flagpole. I know
Oh,
I had heard
So
some.
we have another branch of the military, the Space Force. So there will be another flagpole erected for that branch of the military.
For that branch.
We don't have anyone that served in that branch, do we?
I don't think so, not yet.
I'm gonna go sign up for that one.
The Space Force?
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously.
The cement on the sidewalks, are they gonna be repoured out on Main Street where the park is? I mean, we talked
So the
about that.
sidewalk-
You're gonna, your infrastructure and that type of stuff, your
Yeah.
electrical and,
Yeah.
is that all dealt with in this bid?
I don't know about the north end where, on Main Street. I'd have. to
Depends
ask
on where
Jeff
the
on that.
utilities come in.
Yeah,
If they come off of the main water line in you know, then we'll replace that, I'm sure, over to it. We won't, they'll try to replace all the water and power they can into there with new stuff. So
you'll
we ain't
pour-
gotta tear
pour
into the
brand new
road.
Cement that will
Pick up
tear
later.
back up again.
Yeah, that's what we don't
We'd
want
have
to
to
do.
put in
Actually
the,
work
we'd
on
have
Main
to,
Street.
we'd have to do whatever infrastructure needs to go in there.
Right.
If they do come up and then, replace the, you know, the power and the water infrastructure. So we don't have to tear them up again. I think that's what your question is.
Yeah.
We don't want to tear them up again.
It's like.
But we don't want
planning.
patch either.
There's some planning.
Yeah, yeah. So
What about the sign, the LED sign?
that's,
They're
has
putting it out here?
Yesco contacted you?
I referred everything to Bill.
Oh, because
I
they,
know Rusty's talking about figuring out how to get it out here.
So it's
Yeah.
going here now?
yeah, just, well,
Question on that, Max?
the question is about the LED sign. Brett put in the budget, and it's supposedly going to go out here, but we need to be able to put in the infrastructure, the power out there, and all of that kind of stuff. Okay.
How high off the ground you gonna put that?
It's got a concrete base that's 2 feet high, and then it's 4 feet tall, so it'll be
Okay.
eye height, whether you're walking or whether you're driving by.
And then, can it be wireless? Or do we
It is
need to?
wireless.
It is wireless? Okay.
It's wireless to put the sign up, but we gotta have power to,
Yeah, we got to get power out
gotta
there.
get power to it.
Yeah.
You can connect to it wirelessly to change the,
You can change all that, but you still gotta have power
Yeah.
for the sign.
What's the story on the grant?
We have till December 30th. We have.
Rusty was talking about that.
Say it's funded or budgeted, like where was that money from? The 178,000, where did we pull that?
The RDA.
The RDA. And that RDA money could be used in other projects, right?
On Main Street, yeah.
I'm just gonna vocalize my struggle with the priority of putting that first. That
Well, it's just a-
178,
it's just a- Yeah, it's all based on,
because it's tied to the grant.
yes.
Feels like a trip to Disneyland when we don't have the money.
Well, we got the money. The money is there. It's been budgeted. It's been,
2 years,
yeah,
Well- at least last year's.
yeah, it's been, yeah, the money's there.
I think that ship sailed. I think we need to, I make a motion that we approve resolution 25-19. I think we've talked about redoing it, and it's time to, we've been back and forth with it. I think we need to do it. We took the trees out that were too big, and let's just pinch it off so it looks nice. We got the grant money that's only good till December, and I think we're missing out on the time, so that's my,
Motion by Blair, second.
I will, on that same concept, that
Motion by Blair and seconded by Wes.
if we don't get going, we're gonna lose it. I don't think we have $500,000 to give away, so.
Yeah.
and just to clarify, this is the Plan A,
This is just part A. So this doesn't include.
phase one. Okay.
Phase one.
Phase one, yeah. So this doesn't include, the shade structure we talked about and all of the others. It just talks about what is ever mentioned in that budget there. I think it's your turn, Lyle.
To start? Well, I vote nay, because I think we should have had the whole plan put together with numbers before we start deciding what's A project and B project, and I still think we have time to do it. We have a Main Street Committee that we need to answer to that was in here, when was it? 2 months ago? 6 weeks ago? I'm not sure what the date was, asking us why we hadn't made a decision yet. And,
But aren't we doing the park the same as what the Main Street came up with?
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Part of it. I agree.
We need to know what we're doing, and we don't. So my vote's nay at this point.
All right.
I mean, yes.
I think I'm actually nay on the premise of just the feedback I've had from the constituents repeatedly. Feeling that it's out of order, that they would like to see us rather not spend the money, the 400, rather than, and, you know, put 178 back into some trees and things. And also allocate some of those RDA funds to facade grants and other things to put into Main Street that would have a larger impact to the purpose, which is to stimulate economy. So I think based off of, I have my own personal opinion but I've had a lot of feedback on it, and I need to represent the constituents, so I'm gonna say nay.
Okay.
Wes, yes.
Well, Brett, nay, I'm with Lyle on this one. We need to get, I think we need to have the whole plan. I'm not against moving forward with it, but the people need to see that we're doing this all together, not putting one in front of the other. And that's what I'm most concerned about. So I think we need to table it until we get the numbers back from the guy. And
Can we get the Main Street? Because I agree that if the rest of the Main Street plan is there, I think it's something the constituents can buy in on, but they're one and the same. If we're using RDA funds to fund that project, we need to be able to explain the rest of it. And without it, I think we're gonna have a lot of really upset people.
So what, I think if I'm understanding you right here, then what we need to do is we need to, I think we need to get the Main Street Committee to, I think that if we're looking at replacing the sidewalks, putting in the infrastructure and all of that kind of thing, we have, if I'm correct here, I think, Curtis, we've got about 1.7 million available to us.
Better than speak off the top.
Yeah, it's 1.7, but everybody needs to understand that 1.7 is part of the 9.2 million.
Yeah.
So when you spend money on Main Street, you're using some of that 9.2 million.
But its focus, but its purpose is for Main Street.
It was
It
focused
is for Main Street, and we
It's
can't
an
be using
addition.
that any other place.
it's not.
What I'm trying to get at is we put in the sidewalks and, the infrastructure underneath and the sidewalks, and then, this Main Street or the Midland part can be part of that as well. I just want to, reemphasize that we have till December.
They have the money
We have
spent or
December to
committed.
have it spent. And so we just need to, I think that this is, the whole purpose of this grant to start with was economic development. It was to enhance the downtown area and to create a gathering place for the downtown area. That was the whole purpose of it. That's why it's through the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, and so it isn't like this is just putting a pretty face on something. That there is an actual purpose to it. It is for economic development. It is for all of this other, and yeah, it is maybe just a little we're getting something started is the way I look at it. We're getting the downtown area and starting to revitalize the downtown area. This is just sort of the first step. And, you know, we'll do the Main Street too, as soon as we have something to, as soon as we have something to show you guys as far as, you know, the bids and everything. I just think this is just step one. And just
Well,
showing.
motion didn't pass, so
something
it's-
done.
Well, I guess we'll regroup.
Can I insert at this point, Mayor?
Sure.
So, you know, we've been talking about these numbers, and I don't even know really who's in charge of them. Who is helping our city engineer just know what he's supposed to be bidding on? Who's, I don't really feel, is Bill doing it? Is Jeff doing it? Who's doing it?
The bidding for this.
Telling the engineer what it is we want to bid on.
Well, we asked him to put together a budget so that we could put it out to bid. You know, I spoke with all of you and.
What all does that include, though? I think that's the question.
Yeah, what-
What does that bid include? Is it the drawings that we saw? There was 3 different drawings, and each of those would contain a lot different costs. And
Right.
so that's where,
Well, I sent you the budget, and it's basically what that budget, it basically was that budget that I sent to each of
Are you talking
you.
about the park, or are you talking about Main Street?
I'm talking about Main Street.
Oh, no, that
Because,
part of it-
and that's where I'm having the heartache, is we do have 400,000, but we also, we still have to spend 178,000 of our RDA money that is intended for Main Street.
Well, it was budgeted for this. It was budgeted a couple of years ago for this,
The RDA is for Main Street, right? For economic development downtown,
which is what
downtown
Woodland Square
area.
was designed for.
but the argument is the order that we're going in, the sequence. We're spending the money before we know what the rest of the project and the vision is gonna cost. And we're spending money to go on a trip that we're not quite sure what the rest of the cost is gonna be. We need to know what that is before we can allocate that money. And, you know, the hard part is that the grant has time frame on it. But to Lyle's question, what exactly is being bid for Main Street so that we know?
Well, I don't know that we know that number yet.
No. It's
No,
not the number,
but-
it's what is it?
Are we
that we're
doing the
asking him to do a
the whole
bid on?
thing they did, or are we just doing a portion? I'm
Is it
with that.
just
We're not gonna
sidewalks?
have
Is
the
it
money to
lights?
do
Is
that.
it what
No, we're-
exactly?
the whole thing.
And that's where I say, you know, that you got basically the 1.7. And I'm just speaking of my own opinion here. I think what we need to do is just go in and replace the sidewalks, put in the infrastructure, replace the sidewalks, put in the lights, and then have some money for the facades. That's me. That's
And,
where I'm-
is that what's getting bid right now? That's
That's
Lyle's
the
question.
Oh, okay.
Until that context is clear, I can't say yes to Midland Square.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to
I
say.
get you. I get what you're saying.
I'm not against the project. I'm against it right now because the context for the whole thing isn't clear, but we're taking money from it to fund it. So until we know what the context is, I can't approve something that I don't have the full context for.
Yeah,
It's
I
putting
get
the
it.
cart before the horse,
Yeah.
right?
You're trying to come up with an analogy. It's like you're building a kitchen, and we'll talk about putting the roof and the rest of the house on later, but we're building the kitchen right now.
And we're just gonna get it bid. But is it mahogany? Is it alder? Is it, what are we putting in?
I've got to go back to my original question then. So who is it from Tremont and City that's actually in charge of this? That sits with with our engineer and actually tells him what it is we want?
Well, so I've worked with Chris closely on Midland, but but as far as the Main Street part of it, Jeff, it's pretty much, I know you and Sam have been working a lot on this over the last little while, and he came in with the with that sort of that overall plan concept here a while back. But again, I feel like Jeff, I think that we need to focus, what we can afford. The 1.7, if we can do the sidewalks and the lights and the infrastructure and that kind of thing, I think that would fall within the realm of what we can afford.
Well, we can put up.
Some of those sidewalks don't need to be replaced. I mean, we need to be having this discussion. I mean, we've talked about it before, you could knock out 18 inches or 2 feet and lay brick in for the infrastructure goes and work with the cement the way it is to make the 1.7 stretch a little bit further. All that stuff, that's why we need bids and numbers so that we, as a city council, can say, this is the way we want to go with it, with our 1.7 million.
Yeah.
We don't
Right now,
want,
we have no idea. We got bids on the park, but we can't tell any of our constituents what we're doing with the rest of Main Street. We have no clue. So I'm going back to, somebody needs to be put in charge of that. It's got their heart into it.
And can I add to that? Can I add to that that we just got done talking about income, right? And our, as a city, our leadership, we've got to be driving income up through increased sales tax revenues, not sales tax rates, sales tax revenues. And the best way to, one of the best ways we can do that is to what are the items that we can do on Main Street? They're going to have high impact to the look and the curb appeal of our city, that we can lure a sandwich shop downtown, and that we can lure those are the things that we need to be talking about first with that money, in my opinion, because that's what's going to drive sales tax revenue, which allows us to be able to, do the other things later and increase the.
Oh, if we go back to that survey, one of the most asked for areas was the dining, we're not going to compete with a store that's going to try to compete with an Amazon. That's not going to happen. But what we can do is we're going to, dining on Main Street and, bringing that sort of thing. That's one of the number one things that was asked for in that survey.
Yep.
So, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to bring people into the downtown area.
So I guess to reiterate my point, even if we lost the 405,000, I'm just thinking about this, and I'm just throwing it out there as a business decision, right? We can go put 400,000 into the park and get a new park, and it'd be great. But at the end of the day, how that's going to impact sales tax revenue when the rest of Main Street is still where we're at, versus if we put in new trees or something. I'm exploring ideas. I'm whiteboarding right now, right? Put new trees back in. Beautify the park back up with 20,000 or 30,000, and put the rest of that 178 in the RDA into business owner. It's like the Possibility Salon, when they went and whitewashed that brick and they made that building look really nice. That's not very costly. We could do a lot to help get that Main Street looking with, coats of paint or whatever those standards are that we're coming up with, that would beautify Main Street and allow us to start luring in business and make it look attractive. I
agree.
Again, I'm whiteboarding here. I'm brainstorming solutions, but.
And I guess all I'm saying is that, if we need to put together the budget for what it's going to cost to put in redo the sidewalks and put in the streetlights and so forth, that's something we can get done. I just think I look at it. I guess I'm looking at it a little bit differently than I'm seeing it, looking at it as, part one, or, I'm looking at it as getting something up and going, getting something happening, so there, people can see that there's activity, there's going to be things happening in the downtown area. And in the meanwhile, let's put together, I think what we need from the council right now is just to say, how far do we want to go with the Main Street sidewalks, and do we want to go with bulb outs? Do we want to go with all of this other stuff, or do we want to just go with replacing the sidewalk and putting in the new street lights and that kind of thing? All of those kinds of things are really that's kind of what they need too. We need to say, okay, as a council, what is it we want? Do we want to replace, how extensive do we want to go with redoing Main Street? Do we want to do we need to put in the infrastructure. We got to tear up the sidewalk a block at a time or whatever.
This is exactly what I
But you
started
got, okay,
saying
that's what you
right
guys
to
need to
begin
say
with.
then. You guys need to say, what is it
So
we
who's in
want?
charge of that? Who do we talk to? Who's the point man that talks to the engineer to get this stuff done?
Get the money. We need, don't
Like,
we need the money first? before-
Honestly, I feel like that's what we have said for months, and
No, I'm
Nobody-
about as
nobody
close,
is-
I'm about as close to this as anybody, and
Yeah.
I'm not clear on what we want as a council. I just kind of like to know, do we want to take up the sidewalks and just replace them and put in
How much is it gonna cost?
well,
That,
Chris has given
Well, that's
some
what we're saying.
sort of,
yeah.
I mean,
but
we
you need
had
to
the
tell
whole
us so that we
concept from
can-
them with all the stuff, and I don't think we can afford that.
Well,
We're already, can't find this.
Yeah.
So then we need to say, and I'm with Lyle. So do we decide, is somebody saying, how much of the lights poles cost the infrastructure? I mean, obviously, we're gonna get light poles.
yeah.
Then from there, light poles, infrastructure so we can water plants.
yeah.
That's
Then to see how much-
electricity.
Yeah,
And
the power,
electricity.
and then
Yeah.
to say, okay, that's this much.
Well, that's what you guys.
Now we wanna
okay,
do more, or that's all we can afford?
That's what we need to hear you say to, I think that's what we need to hear you say.
Okay,
Is,
who do we say it to?
say it right now,
To
right?
you?
This-
Are you the
yeah,
point man on it?
I'll
or
be
are
the
you
point
one who
man.
communicates?
I will.
All right. So I think we need to get a bid on replacing all the cement or just fixing the cement with that buffer in there.
Two different options.
Two different options. The light poles, need to have a light pole with greenery on it, with water going up so that this, and electricity, so you gotta have some type of infrastructure underneath it. And see how far that goes, 1.7 million. What we can afford to do that is gonna, when we see how much it's gonna cost, how much light poles and how many feet we can go, we can decide how far we're gonna go with it. And if there's any extra to put into facades, I mean, we need.
That's what we need to hear. That's what we need to hear from this council.
Then from the 1.7, if we still looking at this project as a whole, if we say, you know what, we could do Midland, but let's get those bids in. Let's look at, but it is a whole project. It's not Midland and Main Street. They're one and the same because we're using RDA funds to fund it, and so that's why they're just one and the same to me.
So then what we can do is we've made a decision. This is what we're doing with Main Street. We're starting with the park.
Yep.
Well, no, this has
Park would
been a
be done
really,
before we
a
get
really
on
good
to Main
discussion
Street.
because I think what we need to
It's
do,
messaging.
we need to know what
It's messaging.
your vision is for Main Street. So is it, just how extensive do you want it to be? Then we can go to Chris and he can put together this budget and, come back with a number.
The unfortunate thing
It's sort of
is,
been,
it's also
you know-
tied into the rest of the capital budget. right?
Yeah, but
That's
it
the
is the
unfortunate-
RDA that is for Main Street. So it's specified, it can't be used
Yeah.
in another part of town. It's got to be used for Main
But
Street.
but I mean, the rest of the project for Main Street is gonna have to come from the general fund to be able to bridge the gap between the whole project,
The 1.7
the
million.
amount that's available in the RDA.
If we need 2
Beyond
million, we need
1.7.
300
Yeah.
from somewhere else.
Oh, if we
Right?
need, then it, I mean, there's other mechanisms maybe that we can use to leverage, you know, if they have talked to you guys a little bit about that, maybe to possibly leverage some of that.
But
You
then
know.
we have an entire game plan. Now we can announce it to the community. This is what's going on. Then we can start the phases.
Yeah, no,
And
that's-
Jeff and the Main Street Committee have put together a drawing, and that's where we just start with that, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the sidewalks, but see, the sidewalks run in front of Midland Square as well.
Right.
So that look all needs to be the same, and it needs to
Yeah.
all tie in together.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, we're not tying that.
If we do what the Main Street Committee is proposing, I mean, is it even generally feasible in the capital plan? No. Okay, so,
I don't think there's enough money to do that whole thing.
Not if you're gonna pour cement.
Well,
pour
with the
brand-new
bump
sidewalks
outs and
everything.
wasn't it taking part of the road and putting, I just don't think.
so
we have
does,
enough money.
does that clarify my heartache? We're not gonna have the capital to do the whole project, which means we're gonna have an unfinished Main Street,
We're-
a nice park that we overspent the money that we could have done stuff on Main Street with, and not enough money to finish the project because we put it into the park. Does that make sense? That's where my heartache is.
yeah.
That's why I'm saying no tonight, because until I can solve that in my mind, we're gonna have a park that's nice, and I love the idea, and we had a grant, but we're also gonna have an unfinished Main Street. That 178
We don't-
could have done a
well,
lot of cool
yeah,
stuff
and
too.
I think that
That would actually impact revenue.
the lights, you know, I think we have ideas on the light. In my mind, I see taking up the sidewalk, putting in basically putting in the power and water. And when we get that done, you know, redoing this, you know, putting the concrete down. And in my mind, I think that's, I don't know that
Could
that's.
we get that?
I
Could we
I
get
think
that bid?
I
Because
think
that
that's within
seems
budget.
like it could fit within the
That's what
1.7,
I'm
right?
thinking. I don't know, maybe I don't know if that's
No?
doable or not, but that's, in my mind, go from Second East to the railroad tracks.
Maybe both, I don't know, I don't think.
I mean, what can we do to get a nice home but live within our means?
Yeah, that's what we're asking
Well, that's
for.
the whole
Right?
point.
That's the idea.
Point right there.
And until we answer that, we can't say yes to the park. We've got to get that solved.
Well,
And here's my deal. My thought on this is if we don't get started on Midland, we ain't gonna get that grant. We're gonna pay it out of our own pocket. So if we don't get going on it, and like last week, these contractors ain't gonna wait around. If we call these guys and say, you know what, we're gonna put you on hold, then they might not be here to do it when we.
How long would
finally
it take us to
around
get a sidewalk and light quote?
I don't think it'll take long for it because it's just linear. It's just, you know, I don't know that would take.
Can we tell them we got a couple more things to figure out? And we get that as fast as we can, lights and sidewalk.
We'll have to put it out to bid again,
Right.
The
so the
Midland,
numbers all change.
the Midland, you mean?
Oh, yeah. Denying it tonight, by the time we came around to making any decision, especially in the middle of budget season, we're gonna be asking for new bids, new quotes for all of it. So the amount we end up having to put in on top of the grant probably increases.
I can see that, you know, where you guys are too, but I'm thinking, you know what, maybe we'll just leave in front of Midland alone till we get all this other stuff figured out. But if we don't get going on getting that sewer and stuff into that bathroom, we ain't gonna have the money for it. So
The 400,000 has to be used on Midland.
spent by,
Yeah, we tried to get that changed, but they want it. It needs to be used for Midland Square.
but, so that's, yeah. Somebody bid out Main Street or get somebody to see what Main Street's gonna be, and I think we need to move on here too, Mayor.
Yeah,
Beat that one to death.
well, we
Hesitant
have,
with numbers on Main Street is the amount of involvement UDOT is on the approval process. Because their standards and specifications are expensive because just with how you have to construct to meet UDOT. And so until the design gets more finalized and they approve the design because we're impacting their right of way, I'm hesitant because I know the numbers could fluctuate a lot.
So if we don't mess with any curb, then we're not messing with their right of way, right?
No, if we don't mess with curb, but the concept plan that the steering committee came up with and the council reviewed has the curb being moved, so we have more flexibility on what the city controls on Main Street.
But that's only gaining a foot both ways. Am I correct?
That's gaining, well, I mean, we were gonna gain 18 feet of the right of way to put behind the curb, so the city has more space for greenery, has more space for pedestrians, has more space for the improvements. And so that's why, even if I could bring numbers to you guys next month, I still would, they still have quite a contingency attached to them. Because, I mean, we might be able to start on it next construction year.
I'm not a construction guy, but I think if we had to move the gutters or the curbs, put the bump outs and all that, we're 5 times past 1.7 million.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're 10 times past 1.7 for some of these concepts that I've seen.
I mean,
Ain't gonna work.
there's just not enough money. So
That's what we
we
thought.
gotta do what we can afford. I would personally, like the sidewalks, the lights, the poles, and some facade stuff to make the buildings look better. And,
And we just gotta do it as we can do it.
I mean, that part you have to
Doesn't
do
pay
all
for
at
it.
once, but we wouldn't have to get DOT or the UDOT's approval because we aren't messing with their stuff.
we would have to or would not have.
I don't know. I would say not if we're not digging out the curb. Is that right?
Yes, anything behind the curb, we don't have to get approval with UDOT for. Well,
This may be why we're working type
yeah,
thing.
I mean, work permits, because we'll probably have to be using their right of way for construction
I
equipment.
mean,
but-
I know Jed was on the thing. I mean, we got this big thing, but we just can't afford that whole thing, in my opinion.
And I wonder why we couldn't, like we're
That's
doing
what-
with the park, stage it. Why can't you stage out to the curb, get all this done, and then if we decide to go out further along with your plan, and we can do that
Yeah,
later.
if you have money later.
Yeah. But
That was mine. Just go to about where the sidewalk is now but if we gotta, we could stub water out if it's gotta come the other way and things like that. But I think ahead. I'm not looking to do all this at once. I figured just a little bit at a time when we can afford it, but
So we're looking at, is it fourth west, I mean, and then second east to fourth west,
200 west,
200 west,
200 to 200.
200 to 200.
But we're just designing that part so that it is continuous and that we've got the master plan for the road. And I don't think there's ever been an expectation we're gonna be able to afford start to finish. And then we'll have a discussion as a council. Do we want to focus on one side? Do we want to go block by block? Do we want to, how do we want to control the funding? We can start looking into if there's any other grants we can look into for it.
We just gotta
This
get
is
going.
kind of the other thing.
But the amount of
Doing-
questions we have on Main Street.
It's
Yeah.
long before you got here too.
Yeah.
This is so tiring.
Well, the other thing that I think that we need to take into consideration is the RCOG grants are coming open again in, I believe, August. It'd be nice to get this money spent so that we can move on and get more funding through RCOG. But they aren't going to give us any more money until we've spent this money. And so I'd like to see us be able to spend this money down, get this done, get this project done, and then reapply for additional funding through,
We need to put it back on the, like, next week's agenda or something. It ain't,
But I think we ought to make sure we just get them sidewalks fixed and lights and,
facades.
well, get the sidewalks fixed and lights. The facade could come next year or something. But we ought to do the whole thing. It's gotta look like something's done, not a block at a time. I agree, money-wise, but lights on both sides so that all look, I mean, I drove today, the signs and the poles, you can see them, it looks nice.
yeah.
But if you had something like that, so it all is there, and try to get a bid on that, and then readdress the whole thing as a project.
One project. But please understand that I really feel like we can go after funding through RCOG.
If we have,
It's going to help with the rest of this.
if we have the rest of the project outlined in a way that we can understand what phase one looks like and that we can get to that, I could feel comfortable with spending 178,000 on that project.
Too.
But until then, I can't. And so if we can get that basic, you know, what is gonna have the highest impact on Main Street, and I think we've mentioned it multiple times. If we can get a bid for that as fast as possible, then I can,
All right, so
then I could buy in
If
on
I
that.
understand what you're saying then, is that what we're wanting to do is just replace the sidewalk, put the infrastructure in, replace the sidewalk, put in the lights, planters and so forth and so
Planters
on.
that puts green.
And
back
the
on.
greenery and everything. And then come back, we really need to come back ASAP because
Yeah.
time is really of the essence here.
How long will it take us to quote that project?
Well, I think,
Is it?
What, Main Street?
At least a
well,
month.
just,
much of a-
okay, so
How much of an,
Jeff, if we're just going to
Lights.
put in the power and the water,
The sidewalk that we need.
and then the sidewalk, just replace the sidewalks. And,
okay.
and put in
Even
the
a
lights.
best guess, best estimate, you
I
know.
think the lights, we know the lights.
Right.
We know how many they're
$2,200
going to
a pole.
be and all that. Really what we're talking about is putting in the infrastructure and the sidewalk.
Yep.
Power and the water.
And I'm not one to bounce against Lyle. We don't want pavers down there. Shoveling snow, that needs to either we do it all or we do none with cement.
Side
You
with
can't,
cement.
you can't cut an 18-inch thing of cement and put power and water in it and pour over it. It just is never the same.
It never looked the same.
But let's not get off of the plan that's been put together and so work closely with Jeff because we're
Yeah.
not just gonna go put cement in. We gotta look at the plan and make sure
Well,
we're
the
following what
problem
Main
he's
Street
got is
Committee
the
said.
elevations on the entrances into a lot of the, into the businesses.
A lot of them have been
There's
ground.
a lot of work that's gone into it so far.
So let's just get some numbers.
Discussion over.
I
Let's
want to say yes to all of it. That's the hard part, but it's just, you know, a reality we have to face. So,
Well, I think that we, we talked this bloody thing to death for a long time, and it's time for us to get something done. But I think in the end, I think the product is going to be much, much better.
Okay,
All right, so right now, if I understand what we're going to do is we're going we're going to we voted not to proceed with the consideration of Resolution 25-19. But what we're going to do is come back with numbers for the whole Main Street from Second East to Second West, and with costs, so we can know where we're at on the cost. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, we'll come back with those costs just as soon as possible, because I don't want to lose that contractor, and I don't want to lose the, we just need to get a little more information, so. Whew. Okay, item number C, discussion on possibility of doing an interlocal agreement with Box Elder County for the court. As you all know, we don't have a judge, municipal judge at the moment, and the idea is maybe to have some sort of an agreement with the county until we can kind of figure out where we're going as far as a judge, whether we get one locally here. What we don't want to do is we don't want to give it away. We don't want to give away the possibility of having a judge, because it takes a lot of work to get one back again if we ever tell them no. So this interlocal agreement will just sort of give us some time to figure things out with where we're going with the municipal judge here in Tremont. So
Make a motion,
There's no motion. We'll bring an interlocal. We're working on one with the
Let's
county
do it.
right now. Is that what
yeah, let's do it.
council wants
That's
to
my
move?
opinion.
yeah, we're ready to go forward.
Attorney
with it.
Erickson has
We're
some
gonna make a motion, we do it.
thoughts, if you care, of contrary
Well,
to doing it,
we're
but
gonna
He does.
look into it further, so.
For now.
I guess the cost for him will go up a little bit because he's gonna be going to Brigham rather than Tremont to fight cases. Our officers would have to go to Brigham. if
They
it
got
were
new- they're gonna get new
subpoenaed to
trucks.
court. Oh, okay. They'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah, we probably ought to have them on there when we decide what Dustin.
I've sent the well, he's out of town till the 13th, I think he said, but
You must be on the same boat with.
maybe, yeah. So we've sent the interlocal agreement to him to review.
So what is the recommendation?
Well, honestly, internally, we don't have one yet because we want to discuss this with Dustin and with Chief Cordova and kind of come to a consensus. So we've had discussion with the county. They gave us some good terms to look at. The point the mayor was getting at is with the interlocal agreement, there's at least a clause and a procedure if we ever wanted to bring the justice court back to Tremont, and we can with this. But we were hoping to get some good feedback and have a discussion with Dustin Erickson kind of about the agreement and what the county's proposing. So more of a heads up that we're in the middle of working on it, and we're hoping to have something, depending on the comments Dustin has. I mean, maybe we could have it to you by the next meeting.
We have to let them know by the end of the month.
By the end of this month.
Don't let them know by the end of the month, we can't stop it, and we have to hire a judge and just keep moving forward with our court as is.
Oh, so we do need to make a decision then.
By the end of May, we'll bring it to you. We got
Oh,
another.
by the end of May, not by, okay, by.
Yeah, we'll have to have it by.
We've
the
got
end
some
of the
time.
year. Not at all, so.
Well, I mean, we don't have to have the agreement
Well,
signed. We
that's
would just
true.
have
We
to tell the
let- yeah,
AOC
the
to tell
AOC
it,
know
take the
that we're-
posting down. So if we feel confident that we can keep moving forward, that's the only thing we need to notify someone of.
Yes.
All right, so you got some direction on that. All right, calendar items, review of the calendar. Next council meeting will be on the 17th, and we'll need to. Okay. Any questions on any other, we have on the 10th, Stamp Out Hungry Food Drive. Will that be taken to the food pantry? All that, okay. And then Special Olympics on the 15th, and the 28th is open enrollment for, is this for insurance? Okay.
Yeah, so if we're gonna make changes, we need Do that next meeting too, because that's when
Okay.
we'll let employees know how much they're gonna be paying, if it's gonna be more than the 90% or 10%.
Okay. All right. Farmers Market, beginning on the second and fourth Fridays,
This Saturday, or this Friday.
this Friday starting out. And it'll be at Schuman Park. And,
Saturdays, the get out too, so.
yeah, okay. Well, we've had a lot to talk about here. Let's wrap things. Let's see. Have we got reports? City administration reports. Lindsay, anything? Okay, I'm going to move through this. DRC reports nothing. City department head reports, in addition to what we've already talked about. Do you have anything, Carl?
I'll send you an email.
Okay. You have anything for us, Carl?
The only thing I had, and in the interest of time, you can tell me if it's worth it or not. There was lots of questions about hiring an assistant public works director. You want me to address that, or are we okay?
Council,
Good either way.
we're good?
Whatever you.
We got money?
It's already budgeted.
Self-funded.
I mean, that'd be my only thing, if we're talking about attrition, if we had to, is everywhere, we ought to be careful about hiring more people if we don't have it budgeted.
It's all in the budget. Okay. Okay, council reports. Bo, do you want to start us off tonight?
For the sake of time, I think yeah, there's a lot to report on, but we are meeting economic development. There's some fun businesses that are looking at the valley,
Yeah.
and we've got some really cool stuff brewing. So it's gonna be fun.
Yep. Blair?
I don't have anything.
Lyle?
I don't have anything either.
Brett?
May 29th will be our next town hall meeting.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll plan on that and I've got to get some stuff put together for that, but I'm working with Jeff on getting everything we need to get that set up. So we had a great one last time.
Good.
I have nothing.
All right. The only thing I have is appreciation for everybody for this. These are hard decisions, and you guys are doing a great job with the budget. It's difficult this year, but we're going to make it through this. Just, I hope, and try to be positive about everything, and we're going to be okay. We're going to get what we need to get done. I don't have anything other than that, so I can use one more motion.
Two more. Make a motion
To adjourn?
to adjourn.
And reminder that we do have an RDA meeting, meet briefly for that.
Right.
Wes's motion to adjourn, second.
I second.
Blair, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We do have this brief RDA meeting we need to move into. Okay. We'd like to welcome everybody out to our Tremont City Corporation Redevelopment Agency meeting. Council,
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'll second
thank
that.
you. That's what I needed. Motion by Wes, and seconded by
I never really wanted.
Brett. All in favor?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes
Make a
for,
motion that we approve the minutes of January 21st, 2025.
My second.
motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Bo. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, we have a public hearing. I better do this. In consideration of adopting the tentative budget entitled the Redevelopment Agency of Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2025 to 2026 for the Tremont and West Liberty Foods EDA 172 and Fund 71 RDA District Number 2 downtown for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. All right, the public hearing is now open. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Moving on to item number 4, new business, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number RDA 25-02, adopting the tentative budget entitled the Redevelopment Agency of Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2025 to 2026 for the Tremont and West Liberty Foods EDA 172 and Fund 71 RDA number 2, District Number 2, downtown for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. Is there any changes? This budget is fairly straightforward, I believe. And, pardon me, Lindsay?
There's no capital budgeted in there yet.
Yeah, so there's no capital in this budget, just the same as the other ones. This is operating only. Council has ability to designate for, if we plan something for 2026. Also, within this is the West Liberty Foods. We did put into the budget $900,000 roughly for low income to moderate income housing. It's there as a placeholder for the plan, whatever the council decides to do to help out with low and moderate income housing. Everything that's in that fund, and that's Fund 73, has to be used for low to moderate income housing. That was a condition of the RDA agreement.
Are there any projects being proposed for this currently that we know of?
Bill's put out that, there's that $800,000 that Councilmember Hope before he left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's out there. I mean, it's advertised and people can apply for it. I don't know that anyone has yet. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of any, but that's how 800 of that is planned to be spent, is for people doing low to moderate income housing, like neighborhood or Habitat for Humanity.
Have they approached us?
I heard Bill on the phone with her the other day, but I don't think they've sent anything yet, but earmarked for that. But nothing's moved yet, but.
Any other questions for Lindsay or Curtis?
Was that in the RDA that we were budgeting the downtown manager for?
That we don't have no more?
That we don't have anymore, so do we
We
have
pulled that.
plans for that money? I think we
That
took
coming
that.
out
We
of the
pulled it
RDA?
out. Yeah, we pulled it all out.
But,
That was 12,000 a year or something, wasn't
yeah,
it?
something like that.
We
Yeah, it
pulled all
was
of that out.
budgeted this year, so for the current year we're in, I mean,
Out of the RDA.
out of the RDA for the
Yeah, no.
downtown manager portion of it, so.
And we have Bo.
Okay, perfect. No pressure or anything.
All right.
I will say, I know there's lots of like infrastructure type concerns. One of the other things I've seen entities use the RDA money for is a seed money, similar to like the request that happened the last meeting from Old Grist Mill, where they were asking for seed money to help make improvements to a facility in the form of a grant. I have seen entities such as Smithfield City use that money for that purpose to various levels of success. Some way of enticement for somebody to come into the area, help improve a storefront, make it more attractive, more inviting for public to come in, those types of improvements. If you're looking for other projects, but the RDA funds are limited. It's not hard to go through $1.7 million. But I have seen agencies set up a type of loan either a loan program or a grant program for some of that money coming in.
For some of that 800,000 or what?
No, this would be in Fund 71.
Oh, the
if you're
grist
looking
mill.
for
Okay.
some way. When the council was talking about, you reduce street lights, you reduce sidewalk, if you don't spend all your money, you could use some of the any extras funds for that type of enticement to try and bring in someplace that might help them. It's outside the areas for Old Grist Mill, but I just wanted to elaborate on what he was asking for. It's a grant or loan program from within the RDA program. If you thought you had funds in excess, but
Curtis, have you seen that happen before at another city? Like seed money, would that be like $25,000 on a grant? Have you seen it work?
I'd love to say tremendously successful, but I can't. Honestly, I've seen a couple businesses come in, do some remodeling. They're running on a shoestring budget and they go out within a couple of years. I've seen one successful business. More of what I've seen is more like what you have happening over by where the shop goes at the AutoZone. You have a full redevelopment going on in there, and that's where I've seen more success rather than just simple store frontage type things. We're helping to remodel for a kitchen. It is out there, it can spur some economic development, but it's places that are like the Jack in Box, they want to build a brand new place. They don't want to adopt somebody's old building.
Yeah.
There's some challenges to that, so just something to consider. I've seen more success with, if you look down in Salt Lake, they use their RDA funds and they'll tear a place down and then rebuild that completely up for new. That's,
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number RDA 25-02. Adopting the tentative budget again.
Okay.
Second it.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Brett. Let's see, I think you're up.
Oh, yes.
Wes, yes.
Brett, yes.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Larry, yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. One more motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.